Right, to our first story. Now, 2 people sustained gunshot wounds after police fired rubber bullets to disperse angry tanker drivers in Tema. Now, there were chaotic scenes at the Tema oil refinery on Monday after scores of angry tanker drivers gathered to register their frustrations over poor working conditions and distortions in salaries. Now, the drivers, all members of the Ghana National Tanker Drivers Union, say they will park their tankers until the National Petroleum Authority addresses concerns relating to their working conditions and welfare. Here's what Nancy Emefra Dradosi reported.
When JoyNews got to the scene, an angry crowd of tanker drivers were confronting someone, allegedly from National Security, who pulled out an AK-47 to disperse the crowd. But his plan went wrong. Then chairman of the tanker drivers, George Nwanu, tried to intervene and calm tempers, though he felt his life was threatened.
Me all efforts akamenya kwan akọ ministry no na kamini minister no akọkasa na so drivers no car makofa besi ho omayi from my free time no mo.
I did my best to get to meet the minister, but the drivers have deflated my tire. I am really terrified. They have locked up my office and seized my mobile phone. I am prepared to resign as chairman.
For a moment, the place was peaceful until the gas tanker drivers started to operate, but were disallowed. The police stepped in to restore calm, but when the situation got out of hand, they resorted to firing tear gas and rubber bullets to disperse the crowd.
So we are here only to maintain peace and tranquility.
Shortly after the incident, the chairman appeared angry and accused NPA boss of being behind the confusion.
Strange bullet hit 2 people. You understand? Strange bullet hitting 2 people. Okay, I'm thinking once they are peacekeepers, okay, when they come, the first thing for them to ask is even the chairman, who is your leader? You understand? But they even never asked of the leader. They started a shooting. What Mr. Tampuli said on radio, I heard it, that he has nothing to do with tanker drivers. He don't know them from anywhere. Today, if the president will appoint somebody as chief executive, whom tanker drivers, okay, cast product from all the depots to the destinations, and today he gets his margin and telling us that he don't know where the tanker drivers, I thank him.
2 persons were hit by rubber bullets and drivers were livid.
Is it a crime for us to address our salary issues? What is the use of the police? What kind of country is this? We work and get tired. No one asks us for 1 cedi. We ply the road from morning till evening, and if we have the platform to have a dialogue, police are invited. They can kill us. After our demise, the police should come and drive the tankers. It looks like tanker drivers are voiceless. Thus, this treatment is what we get.
But the police explained they used the tear gas and rubber bullets to restore calm.
See, we've come to maintain peace and order here. Now you can see this is a very big installation. And as they are resorting to violence, there is the need for us to disperse them. That's why we threw the tear gas to disperse them.
The entrance of the Tema oil refinery was later left calm as the chairman of the tanker drivers advised his men to leave.
Now, the fuel drivers have since suspended their action. Meanwhile, the Chamber for Petroleum Consumers, COPEC, is warning of an imminent fuel shortage if the Energy Ministry and the National Petroleum Authority, that's the NPA, do not find an amicable solution to the demands of the tanker drivers. Its Executive Director Duncan Amwa told Aisha Ibrahim on PM Express that anything short of that will be dire for the country.
If we don't get that, what now happens is this. Those who can move LPG products would now resort to moving LPG across the country. So LPG will be in supply. What then happens to the white products if these guys say they won't move? Are we going to recruit new drivers altogether and give them these trucks? Mind you, these are not trucks that you could just move around like you could move, let's say, a Picanto or a normal vehicle. You would need some minimum training to handle those vehicles. And so, can we get to a common ground where their fears are assuaged, where they don't have the sort of mistrust that they sort of have towards both the transport owners and the NPA, right? Are we going to be able to convince them fully by tomorrow morning, like I indicated, that something is going to be done this time, and we will not sign an MOU that will sit on a shelf for a year and plus and nothing will be done? If we get to that point, then fuel shortages are not going to be a problem. Okay. Aisha, anything other than that, if they don't move, I can assure you, in 3, 4, 5 days, maximum 1 week, there will be shortages across the country because the fuel stock you have, people are consuming them by the day. You would need to restock, replenish. We don't have an efficient pipeline system in Ghana where you can say that if the trucks are not even moving, you pump all through the pipelines and products will be available throughout the country. And so we need to find a solution to this impasse as soon as practicable.
Away from that, chiefs found to be involved in the destruction of forest reserve in Sekwiri and other areas of the western region will be distilled. And that is a warning coming from the paramount chief, Katichie Kwesi Bumangama the second, who also has directed chiefs to form local volunteer groups to protect the forest reserves. Ohimin Teria now reports.
There are fears the Sekwiri area will lose all its forest in the next 2 years if the current rate of wanton destruction in reserves continues. Affected reserves include Sea River, Tanosushen, Moro, and Krokosia. A joint military and forestry task force is presently engaged in anti-logging and encroachment exercise codenamed Operation Hot to clamp down perpetrators. Katichie Bumangama says cocoa farming, which is the backbone of the local and national economy, is under threat with current rates of forest reserve destruction. He believes chiefs must be held responsible for the worrying trend.
The rate in which the forest is depreciating seems that by 2020 we are not going to have a reserve, a forest reserve. Yes, and it is true because this involves these chainsaw operators, illegal farmers, illegal logging. So I've been always be petitioning to the government, successive governments, even during Mohammed's time. I make this appeal that the government should intervene. Otherwise, the whole forest is going to be consumed by these illegal operators and illegal farmers. So my point I'm making it today is that if not the intervention of the Forestry Commission and the Lands Commission, Environment, and the rest of the agencies involved, and by bringing the soldiers to come and assist the forest guards, you know, I've expected that we are going to have a forest, complete forest area in Sekwiri by 2020. I think a month ago, we had a traditional council meeting, which I made it known to various chiefs that whoever involve himself in this illegal operation or illegal farming will be disturbed.
While blaming politicians and their supporters for condoning the destruction for parochial interests, Katichie Bumangama supports the task force to succeed.
But every political party that comes to power, sympathizers, whatever, they all go into the forest to find their daily bread. So I won't be surprised if today a politician is saying this exercise is of no use. Yes, I can't comprehend. The permanent solution is the army. Because I was telling you that the strength of the forest gas is not enough. So when these soldiers are deployed to my area, it will minimize or it will eliminate this kind of exercise completely. So I would suggest to the government, if it will be possible, you can make a settlement for the soldiers in the forest.
From the Western region for Joy News, Ohiminteria reports.
Now, the district chief executive of the Agotime-Eziope district, David Dixon Jokwe, says that the assembly will provide a new borehole for the people of Mangu Tideke. A stream from which the residents drank was converted into a small dam after the land was bought by an individual who warned them to stay away, leaving them with a dirty source of water. DCE Dixon Jokwe tells Joy News that they will negotiate with the owner to give residents access to the dam while the assembly works at providing another borehole.
I'm David Dixon Jokwe, the DCE for the Agotime-Eziope. What I did with the assembly is, in the process of our budget, we captured those facilities, borehole, that we can spread to the villages around. We did that and we catered for them. Akwete is just behind them, the barrier. Yeah, that is their main, where they come from to get into this. They get water from there.
That's very far.
Yeah, it's far. So they were anxious for a borehole. And we line up boreholes to be delivered to the various villages. I think in this first quarter, that was our plan. Okay. We want to do that before, because this is the real season that they need those things. From May, you see that water will start coming in.
So there's this place that they used to fetch water, this little stream they used to fetch water. I'm told that someone has bought the land and has prevented them from coming close. Of course, the land doesn't belong to them, so they could...
That report has not come to us in the assembly yet. But we'll check it with the assemblyman in charge.
Right. So apparently the person has got the land and is farming
there.
But he has created a dam.
Okay.
But then he's warned them off.
Not
he's
to.
warned them not to come close to the dam. So
I'll follow up.
Right. But if someone has been able to at least create a dam, that's a good thing. That perhaps the authorities should commend him. But that there can also be some kind of conversation and negotiation so that the people can still benefit from the dam.
So now that it has not been brought to my notice, so let somebody behind them, he is rearing cows. So there's a bigger river beyond, that's the Toje River. We just had a meeting with the chiefs to permit the Fulani herdsmen to let them have access to the Toje River in the interim, where we get a place for them. So these people too will quickly have a meeting with the dam owner and see what arrangement we can do so that they can have the little water that they can use now, whilst we improvise them.
What I'm just wondering is how the district assembly, which is not so far away from the town, is able to have proper water and have a water closet and use treated water to flush the toilet. But then the people they're not far away, and they're the people that you're supposed to be serving anyway.
Yeah,
they don't have.
That's what I'm explaining to you, that the construction of the district assembly is by a contractor, and the water project is from Petue. Do you understand? They have done their job and gone. But the assembly now will take care of the villages as and when we get funds either internally generated or from the common fund.
The Vice President, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, says the focus of the new Patriotic Party government is not just on macroeconomic stabilization, but also pro-poor policies that transforms the core of the Ghanaian society. Well, he said pro-poor policies that Ghanaians have never enjoyed emanated from the MPP government under former President John Ejekon Kufuor and currently President Akufo-Addo. He was speaking at the second National Policy Summit that took place in Tamale. Well, we have the latest update from Martina Bugre.
The Vice President, who said this today at the opening ceremony of the 2018 Policy Summit in Tamale, the Northern Regional Capital, questioned which pro-poor policy the NDC, which claims to be a social democrat, had offered the people of Ghana. He named some of the flagship campaign promises they had implemented, including the free senior high school and its benefits.
Ladies and gentlemen, when it comes to policies to protect the poor and the vulnerable in Ghana, the MPP has a remarkable record. It's a remarkable record. After all, it is under the MPP that you see the National Health Insurance, National Youth Employment, Metro Mass Transit, the LEAP, the school feeding, free maternal care, restoration of teacher and exit allowances, Zugo Development Fund, and so on. It's only under the MPP. Can anyone here recall the social intervention policies that the NDC implemented that have been sustained? What are the policies? What were the social intervention policies that the socialist NDC government implemented? What were the policies? Everything we wanted to implement to help the people, they said it was not possible. They said free SHS was not possible. I tell them it has been made possible by
Dr. Bawumia said when it comes to managing the country, the MPP government has done a far better job than the NDC, describing the NDC's performance as scary. The Vice President said this year's depreciation of the cedi against the dollar is the second lowest in Ghana's history.
Ghana's economic fundamentals are strong. This was confirmed last week by Standard & Poor's, the global rating agency, which has upgraded Ghana's rating, sovereign credit rating, from B- to B with a stable outlook. And this is the first upgrade that Ghana has received in 10 years. The reason that we are having this depreciation is more to do with the strength of the dollar. Against the euro and the British pound, the cedi has been quite stable. The cedi has only depreciated by 2.7% against the UK pound and 3.48% against the euro. And this only reinforces the fact that the strengthening dollar is the issue. Of course, many would prefer that there is no depreciation at all, because in an import-dependent economy such as ours, any depreciation in the exchange rate tends to add to prices, and this is why business people are very sensitive to exchange rate movements. And we
Uncle that's it for the news.
Yes, yes. More coming when we review the newspapers in just a moment. And that's just the beginning of some rich, rich content coming your way on this terrific Tuesday morning. It's the AM show. You've made the right choice already. Stay with us for more.
AM News Headlines was brought to you by
Exeter Paracetamol, Ernest Chemist, because everyone needs a chemist.